going to talk a bit today about the work from home debate and where it goes from here. We're at the stage now in South Africa and indeed across the world where it seems like the risk of the pandemic is receding. I speak cautiously about that. It depends on what mutations follow and whether vaccines can keep up. But so far, so good. It seems like the economic activity in the world and the way we work is normalizing, or it's freeing up, let's put it that way. Lockdown regulations are being eased. And what this should mean in 2022 is that a lot of the way we work should normalize too. And I'm referring here specifically to office workers. Office workers, a big chunk of the workforce got sent home during the lockdown to work from home, and economic life for them continued fairly well. We all had to get up to speed with Zoom and Microsoft Teams and get online and learn to interact online. But all in all, it was a very successful forced lockdown experiment. So much so that many employees find it very appealing to work from home. Surveys in the United States and in Western Europe, many of them pointing towards employees more keen to be working from home and employers more keen to have their staff back at the office. Not all of them, but a bigger portion of employers wanting their staff back and feeling uneasy about this indefinite work from home. So that's where we stand at the moment. And the debate rages. And when we look at surveys, they slice and dice the market in various ways. Some just do the simple split between general staff and management more keen to have their people back on average. In many surveys, employees more keen to work from home. There are different splits too, which say that it's about introverts and extroverts. Some theories, introverts more happy to be at home, extroverts wanting to walk those corridors and canteens again and seeing a lot of people and interacting in person with a lot of people. Some say it's about the political players and the networkers, the wheelers and the dealers wanting to be back at the office and wanting everybody else back at the office too, so that they can apply their skills in the cafeterias and in the hallways, lobbying, playing politics, whatever you want to call it in cynical terms perhaps. And on the other hand, the workers who just want to get a job done and be undisturbed while they do it, tending more on average towards working from home. There's theories of the sort of more in crowd at the office, wanting to be at the office, the more out crowd, more minority groups often perhaps not wanting to be at the office so much, more happy to work from home. The theories are widespread. But at the end of the day, it's probably going to be the market and money and costs that talk. If one looks at work from home versus work in the office, let's think about it from a staff point of view. Massive time savings in terms of commuting for many through staying at home. Massive financial savings for many through staying at home in terms of transport costs. So understandably, that wasteful, unproductive and costly time spent commuting and maintaining motor vehicles or paying for public transport in the process there's nothing much positive about it. And I think most people I know would like to get rid of it if they can. And it's been getting worse and worse as our cities get more and more congested. It is a major problem the world over. So work from home is appealing, I think, to many people in that regard to get rid of that wasteful commute, not to mention the environmental destruction that it does as well. On the management side, they talk about company culture being harmed by people working from home. Get back to the office, see people in person, form more close bonds as a team, and interact in person. Interaction in person is more beneficial, and I buy that to a certain degree. But for the employer, there's also the cost aspect of that. Office space is costly. That's the one thing. And greater work from home, one would think, would be less costly for the employer, even if they possibly provided the Wi-Fi and the fiber links for their staff, some sort of allowance. I'm not sure how it'll pan out. But not maintaining as much costly office space must surely be a financial benefit. But there's another potential financial benefit as well. Surveys coming out from places like the United States, North America, show that many staff would be happy to work for a lower salary if they could work full-time from home. Over and above the fact that many in the surveys want to work from home, they would be prepared to save. So it would appear now that the world has become accustomed to work from home and it's increased in popularity, that companies that are more rigid on their office times and wanting people to work from the office in future, as the market adjusts, the labor market adjusts, may have to pay a premium for that. And opportunist companies that see the opportunity, the more progressive ones, if you want to call them that, would see that, hang on a moment, offering a more flexible working environment or working arrangement and a better working environment with regards to when you're at the office may just mean that they're able to attract skills and retain skills easier and possibly even for a lower cost. So I think where it'll come down to eventually is that money will talk, the market will talk, the labor market and the office market and the general economic factors. The employees, good employees, will look and push in the negotiations for a more flexible working arrangement, even possibly at a lower than otherwise salary. The employers, the more opportunistic ones, would see that gap and go for it in a greater way. And then there'll be the late adopters, as there always are, the ones who have resisted perhaps the work from home, the long-term work from home trend. They would then eventually be pressured into following suit because they would see that otherwise their wage bill is going to be higher and possibly they're not going to get the top skills that they would like. So I think ultimately it's the market and money that's going to talk. And after some normalization of activity, this was an artificial spike in work from home, or work remotely, created by the lockdowns. But there is a longer term trend that's been going for a few decades. The rising work from home trend, either part-time work from home or greater full-time work from home, is a multi-decade trend. And after some normalization in economic activity and the way we work, following the relaxation of lockdowns, this year I expect that normalization, not back to a level of pre-lockdowns, just to a lower level than where it is now. In other words, more people back in the office. But from there, I think the rising work from home part-time and full-time trend resumes and carries on, because not only would it be more cost effective, but technology is getting ever better, and one can assume for the foreseeable future that it would continue to get better to increase employee mobility, to increase the viability of working from home or anywhere for that matter, and monitoring people and giving them the tools to do their job better. That technological advancement is probably not likely to end anytime soon. So the long-term trend continues, and probably continues at a bit of a faster pace, because what the forced lockdown experiment has done is to firstly force the late adopters of all this technology, this conferencing technology, the Zooms, the Teams, to give it a bash. They have been pleasantly surprised, possibly even alarmed, at how successful it was. Whole divisions in corporates working remotely for 2 years, best part of 2 years, and it's worked. The sky hasn't fallen on anyone's head. And often company results in this remote work environment have been particularly good. So it's been a rousing success, not without its problems. And the fact that the late adopters and everybody's been forced to try it, and remote interaction has become acceptable, an acceptable way to interact now. So those that never wanted to in the past, that restricted the rest of us who wanted to from trying it, it's now acceptable to much more in the corporate sector in general. So much more of that, much less reason to be in the office on a daily basis, and the work from home trend, therefore the long-term work from home trend, once we've normalized, once the short-term spike has normalized, continues, I believe, to rise, the rising work from home trend, at a faster rate. With it, this means that a continuation is likely of that trend towards where office property is a smaller share of total property stock or total commercial property stock. Industrial being expanding its share, retail somewhere in the middle, but office has been in a long-term declining share trend, and that's likely to continue, possibly even at a faster rate. So a smaller office market in future, significantly smaller relative to the overall size of the property stock.